Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am with a good friend, a musician that you guys might know. This band called the Dandy Warhols. This is Courtney Taylor-Taylor, and he's the lead man, the founder with the band. He's here in San Francisco, and he and I have been friends for a good decade now. We've drank fine wines together, and you're playing here at Bimbos.
Yeah,
it's a 30-year anniversary of the band.
Yeah, this is our 30th year.
Pretty amazing.
Traveling, yeah, and we've played here for pretty much our whole career, on and off. This is Bimbos, and this is the back wine cellar where they would have fed the Rat Pack or Dizzy Gillespie or Thelonious Monk or Carmen Miranda, whoever was playing here. This is where they would feed them, and it's a beautiful old classic wine cellar right off the kitchen.
Yeah, we busted out a bottle that we might have to drink. It's a old Louis Jadot. It's 67 Louis Jadot from Bouland. This is probably super high quality for right now. It looks like it's gone down a little bit as far as its level, but we'll check it out in a little while. But this is actually the cellar at Bimbos, the 365 Club here in San Francisco. One of the most classic venues of the West Coast. There is no doubt about that. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's 30s, 1930s, and it's still that kind of deco into, I don't know, this is just classic.
It's digging on it. So we're drinking a little bit of, we're drinking Gamay right now, but we're drinking it from the old world. This is one of my favorite brands. This is from Morgon. This is Melanie and Daniel Bouland, and this is a really good one. I brought it exclusively for Courtney to taste with me. I save really good bottles. I gotta have like the right person to pour it for. I feel this is gonna be a strong moment for Courtney here. He's playing tonight. This is your second show. How'd it go last night?
It was great. I struggled with my mix on stage, but the other three members of the band had an amazing one.
Yeah.
So I sometimes somebody in the band has to work a little harder than everyone else to get in there and find it and make it happen, because the music, you have to kind of get it, you have to kickstart it at the beginning of any jam or tune or whatever, and then once you've created the wave, then theoretically you should be able to put your muscles on autopilot and focus on the words and the feel and surf the wave that you've created, and then still generating the wave and still surfing it. It's a psychologically fucked up trip. It's pretty hard.
Profound, huh, you guys? You're learning a lot from the man, from Courtney Taylor-Taylor.
And speaking of learning a lot, on my wine podcast, which I talk about music and I talk about wine in the same kind of language, like this one's got an aggressive mid-range that's probably going to need a few years, or this one's too tannic, it's the high end. Sounds like it tastes like an 80s record sounds, and do that kind of thing. But we did do Beaujolais Village from Louis Jadot, and so check out that one. But I did learn, I looked up some stuff because Beaujolais isn't my bag. Yeah. But so there are only a handful of crew villages, and Morgon is one of them. Yeah.
And this one's really good. This has got a lot of body. It's called Les Deleuze. Lesdelys. And it retails, I got this for $46, but it's a killer. Remember, there's a big difference between Beaujolais Nouveau and Beaujolais. Beaujolais is the real deal, where it's coming from the vineyards, where they're making it more like a Pinot Noir. It doesn't have the acid that Pinot does, and that's what's really different here. But it's got a lot of mouthfeel, and I like the structure too.
This one's cold, so it seems to have more acid than say Oregon Pinots do. But once it warms up, if I get my fat mitt around it and swirl it for 30 minutes, it's going to be blood temperature.
Get the blender ready for us, you guys. No, just
get the air into it.
It's a. I thought it was a good one for you to taste, and then I brought another one too that we've got here. One of my great friends, Eric Sussman, makes the Radio-Coteau wines, and we could talk all we want about Willamette Valley, and you've got the great wine shop up there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
I have a wine store, a wine bar too. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I call it the Old Portland.
Yeah, it's a classic old bar that you took over, and you're doing it.
I actually built it. It was the management offices for the band.
Oh,
I realized that in my building, it's located in the perfect place that I could just make it work. So I pulled shiplap, which is what they used to do instead of sheetrock. They would just get boards that wouldn't function in a ship because they had knot holes, and that was their sheetrock. So I have tons of it in this old building. I bought a quarter of a city block 20 years ago. So I made it look like a classic old bar,
That's
but
cool.
it's not.
Okay.
It was hard to make something look old and worn in.
I remember when I called you last time we were up there, it was like really rainy time and you were having problems with some flooding issues like in your area and like it was kind of gnarly, and so we didn't get any quality time together. We couldn't drink, but the first time we ever met, when I met Courtney, once again, this is Courtney Taylor-Taylor from the Dandy Warhols, the great band, celebrating its 30-year anniversary, and we are at Bimbos here in San Francisco. But you and I were at a fundraiser, and you were playing acoustic up on stage, and it was kind of a beer-based one, and you came over to me and you're like, oh man, I know who you are, you're Sam, let's get out of here, I can't drink this much beer. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go. And we went to Le Pigeon.
Right across the street.
Right across the street.
Handily located.
Yes, and it was great. And that's when you get to make friendships over really great glasses of wine together. You guys can do it at any time you want when you run into good people. And so that's why I wanted to bring him some fun wines here, celebrate your 30-year. This is Radio-Coteau, the bigger one here. And it's my good friend Eric Sussman. He's a very small production, but has the best stuff. This is from his estate property, which is up in a little bit above Sebastopol, up in the hills there. It's Sonoma Coast, but great guy. And he makes good Zinfandel too, but he's very, very well known for his Pinot Noirs. It's a little darker color. You've really been getting into the Willamette Valley scene and European wines and everything.
I like Walla Walla because they tend to be more French style. They got the Rhone Rangers and all that up there.
I'm a big fan of Rhone Rangers.
And they do great Syrah. When it gets
the wall,
they like to be 10 to 15 years old, so they're a little harder to find. You got to cough up another $20, if not 35 or 55. But it's worth it if you love that style of wine, and the ratio of bottles that have gone off or oxidized or Maderized or corked or whatever from right across the Columbia River and down the waterways or the other side of the world. I'll lose a lot of times. I'll lose on vintage Syrah from the Northern Rhone. I'll lose 2 bottles a case. So it's been fun to discover how much ass Walla Walla is kicking.
And the rocks, if you guys don't know the rocks, it's like ridiculous. The types of, how the, like the kind of the flat rocks are growing out like this. You're like, oh wow, that's amazing. Christophe and all these crazy French people are invested in there, and it's a really great region for the Rhones. I agree, and I'm glad that you know the Rhone Rangers because I'm a big fan of the Rhone Rangers, and they've done a great job up there, that's for sure. So, I gotta say, I was watching Something About Mary the other night, and I saw, if you guys have ever seen Something About Mary, and if you don't know the Dandy Warhols tune, and if you've seen it, then you've heard the Dandy Warhols, that's for sure. Every day is a holiday.
Every day should be a holiday.
It should be a holiday, and one of the best soundtracks actually of the 90s by far. Jonathan Richman.
Yeah, they got Jonathan Richman to do it. Yeah. And they do such an interesting take on it, where they pan from what's his name? Yeah, from it'll come to me and say, well, there's Matt Dillon. And there's our classic Ben
Stiller. Ben Stiller,
Blue
Steel, and he's not Blue Steel in this one.
But it would just pan over a little ways, and there would be Jonathan Richman, and he'd start singing what the story was just telling you. And it had such a great old sort of the Greek, the Greek chorus play. going to inform you now, like the people standing next to the actors are going to start singing at you. It's really brilliant.
It's a brilliant soundtrack and a great movie. I watched it again and I was laughing my ass off. It is funny.
Now,
funny,
is
funny.
that the one where that's the Farrelly brothers, right?
Yeah, and it's Cameron Diaz is the star. She's super beautiful, but she's really nice, and everyone's in love with her. Yeah, and they kind of like
they get weirder and weirder about it.
Yeah, about how they're protecting themselves and telling bad things about each other.
Is that the one where, or is it Kingpin, where he walks by the old man on the porch every day? How's it going, Jet? And the old guy goes, "It's taking forever."
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's the one at the end. He's the one at the end that's got the gun at the very, very end scene, and he shoots Jonathan Richman. Sorry, but he's sitting there, and Jonathan Richman gets shot.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But you gotta watch the movie. If you don't even believe me, then you gotta watch this. But
speaking of spoiler alert, we're gonna have to get that. Yeah,
let's get this going here. So this is for if you just tuned in. This is Beaujolais Jadot. This is actually 1967 that we pulled out of here. We're at Bimbos.
I am a 1967.
So that's and I was born in '69. So we're celebrating the 60s right now.
Celebration of the 60s.
Yeah. So speaking of Bohemian Like You, one of the great songs, one of their great hits, during my time when I was writing reviews of your albums there in the 90s.
Wow.
And I did. That's how I got it. UC Davis, man. And I was the guy. And so, like, these are things, like, I thought about beatnik stuff, and because I'm here in San Francisco, and I know this culture. How did just, like, the West Coast really influence you? Like, Portland, and that's where they were established. But you come here a lot. What did you get out of this?
We never went to Seattle. We would drive 12 hours to get to San Francisco to play for a weekend in garage parties, or we played at the Purple Onion, which is Lenny Bruce and all those cats. Yeah. There were still beats here before it kind of abutted the hippie movement, and we would just come down here because it was so cool. I mean, San Francisco is still. Possibly that or Paris are my favorite cities in the world.
Absolutely.
This or Paris. Yeah. But this one's San Francisco is so much more navigable. Yeah. And Paris is just, you're lost. It takes forever. Blah blah blah. And you can shake a stick and hit 3 restaurants dating back to the 19th century. Yeah. And things really stay here. They stay put. Even with all the crap and Aliados just shut down. They do. That's sad. That's sad, you guys. They do. But I just went to the Buena Vista Cafe, and that opened in 1899. Yeah. And it's still so fun, and the vibe. Everyone is just energetic and positive, and they seat you at big round tables with strangers, and everyone's chatting. Everyone's talking. Yeah. San Francisco is a really great place. It really is. And we could feel that. We ended up getting booked to play a birthday party from this kind of benefactor of the art scene in Portland that had moved down here. And so we somehow booked other shows and met the Jonestown Massacre that first weekend ever. That's a good band. Here, they came to the garage party and they were just on us. The minute we finished our last song, they were on us, just handing us just blah, 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 with their, wraparound dark sunglasses at night, black leather Nehru collar jackets, and stacks of vinyl. We put out this, this is the band we do, this is our band, this is it. And and we just had a life, we just saw Anton last month in Berlin. Oh, you didn't bring your Durant? I couldn't do the Durant. I actually lost the interior part of the Durant. So I just had to jerry-rig it. You fake it. That's good. I jerry-rigged it. That's good. I actually jerry-rigged it, but it didn't work. We're gonna get filter. But you have a screen? I don't, but we're gonna do it very slow. Okay. Do we have a coffee filter here? Let's not. We don't worry. Trust me, Courtney. Trust me. All right. Okay. So, you guys. So. Once again, I'm a big fan of the Dandy Warhols. This is a great venue. I mean, just like when you really look at this stage, I think the last time I was here, I saw Gary Newman on this stage, and it was great. I mean, the dude brings it now. I mean, he's big. His music is very big now. And I think a lot of people
don't know him enough, and they think that Cars is the only song he ever wrote, and they had nothing to do with music, but he's amazing. But you see people on this stage, and that's why I'm so glad that you guys got this venue for your 30-year anniversary, and you got 2 nights, Friday and this is Saturday. Here we are, just on a Saturday afternoon, down in the cellar here at Bimbos, not bad. Not shabby change.
So your buddy's wine, there's not much nose on it now. It seems to have gone back.
It has a lot of tannins right now. This is a 2020, so it's a little tight. There's not many wines made from that vintage because of the fires. This is a good one, so he was above the fires. This is from his own estate, so he had control of
There's
this
nothing smoky in it. Oh, that is a tannic. That is very similar
see
to
the tannic?
the Barbaresco Barolo, really.
But it will sort itself out.
I love grippy wine.
I know. If we were watching your show and we had like a good magnum of it, it would be completely different when you do the first set and then all the way to the end. It's like a completely different wine.
Almost every.
That's why I'm leaving you with this bottle. Okay.
Almost every wine I drink is like that.
Yeah. So the Portland scene, what's happening up there besides your place, which is awesome?
After the riots and the whole summer of hate, it's been rebuilding and trying to really clean it up. The city is trying to get all of the people that just showed up being told that if they don't have any place to live, you can just go live on the streets in Portland and they'll give you a tent and food and let you do drugs, and they're all legal. So we had, it was basically the Wild West of crime and all the bad ones, murder, rape, everything. It was nasty, and so many businesses went under, and any family business was in danger of going under, and most of them did. So we've got, the restaurants are coming back up again. We're getting cool shops and stores and boutiques, and it's starting to come back. A lot of people have left, and people aren't moving in, so we do have a lot of empty or boarded up space. It's strange, but Portland and San Francisco are similar like that. They seem to have a connection that there's some kind of connection.
Yeah, there is, and I mean it's kind of one of those things where I've been through Portland. I've seen the bumps there, and I've seen
very matterized.
I know. Well, you have to take a sip though. You cannot. So here's the thing with this, you guys. It smells like crazy mushrooms. Like they might be psilocybin,
and
but I don't know.
Port. It's port without anything sweet.
Yeah, it's
that's matterized.
It's matterized for sure, but it does. It actually smells. I know what it smells like. It smells like dried mushrooms, like the ones you get in the bag that you have to add water to, and that's what it smells like. Are you dealing with it? Are you doing okay? Or do you get any fruit? This is the one.
I get no fruit whatsoever.
This is the Louis Jadot, you guys, and we just grabbed it off the shelf here at Bimbos.
It is exactly as old as I am.
1967 Beaujolais from Louis Jadot. So that's what we're doing it for you guys. I mean, if it was being sold to you, would you drink it? We're doing it for you.
I have more fruit left than this does.
Actually, there is some nice qualities to that.
Really?
Yeah, and it does have a fruit quality. It's a plum, but it's nice.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just getting.
It's got a little orange. It's got a little orange thing going on, like a little orange rind.
In the taste or in the nose? I'm getting
the nose is kind of shot. But get it in the mouth and really. You can't taste a wine on the first sip. It doesn't make any sense because you've got all these other 3 wines that we're tasting right now, and you got to just give it the time of day. See, it's got some fruit. That's pretty good from being as old as you are. 1967. Yeah, not bad.
That is a sour boy.
Dude, I know.
That's a Sour Patch Kid.
This one I did not bring for him. We actually had it here at Bimbos, and they provided it for us, and we appreciate that. But yeah, it's something that would be really interesting if you went to a Somme party or something. So, dude, I got some 67.
I just don't find wines that have gone off interesting ever. I find
I will dazzle you later in your life.
I find it amazing because I get my buddies together. We pull out the 50s and 60s and 70s, and and a third of them have gone off. But God, you get those Bordeaux's, those Burgundies that are 75 years old, and it's still wine,
amazing.
and you just go. It doesn't have any of this dried,
it's got a little
box of raisins, or
it's got a little blueberry now. I'm just saying.
You're just being very flattering.
Well, you know what? I look for goodness in wine first.
Bless you. Even dead wine.
Even dead wine. But this, actually, I think it's drinkable. To be really honest, it would have to be like the perfect pairing, and it would have to be probably done with a salad, probably like pomegranate salad with a little bit of a blueberry reduction kind of vinaigrette would be good with it. And then we'd make it through there.
I would never waste that.
Yeah, I know, but that's not your job. I'm the somm, you know. You're just the great. I know. But you're the great drinker and the great singer. Do not forget, Dandy Warhols right here. Courtney Taylor-Taylor with me in the house. It's interesting. All right, let's just.
Hey, are you ever in Portland anymore?
Yeah, I am. I was just
I'm
there.
part of a wine club that is started by all the founding fathers of Ponzi and E-Rap.
Oh yeah, I love those guys.
Edelsheims and
I know David.
So there's about 50 of us, and I'm pretty much the youngest guy at the table, and so we taste 50 to 75 wines a month. And we do it the first Thursday we get together, and everyone stands and tells it. Not everyone, but if you have a joke, and they're all old school jokes. Stephanie turned 18 years old that day.
Oh my God!
Her parents were so proud. She devoted the rest of her life to the worship and service of our Lord and Savior. Those kind of like vaudeville humor, kind of old school, funny. And the food is always great. It's always something like a lamb or duck confit or something. It's real good wine foods. So let's just let me know when you're going to be up in January.
I will for sure. You bet. I'm going to pour. I brought another one. Like we're talking old wines here too, and we got to clean this one up a little bit because, believe me, that smell of that older wine does stick in this glass. So I'm going to actually clean this up for you. But this is I just pulled a cap from
that was the Gamay.
The Gamay. This was. I'm gonna pour you a little bit of this in here though.
What is it?
This is gonna be the Jordan cap.
Crackers or anything, do we?
We don't. But you gotta get on the set in a few minutes,
I know. I could run upstairs to our dressing room real quick and get some so we can cleanse our palates.
I'm giving you these bottles afterwards, Courtney. You can party with them later.
We are.
Last
night.
Yeah. So this is Jordan. I just figured I'd pull an old bottle of Jordan, 09 Jordan cab. Like we're talking about Sonoma County. That's where I live. Easiest thing for you, Courtney, and anyone from Portland or Seattle or whatever. Alaska Air out of Santa Rosa is like the easiest thing ever. You can bring a case of wine for free on Alaska Air. That's
incredible.
That's worth it right there. And you get up in the air and you're landing in Portland by the time you're finishing your Bloody Mary, and that's like the easiest thing ever. And then
I fly Alaska for the West Coast. Yeah, it's my airline, and
you can a case for free. A case for free.
I had no idea. They're so good. They are really good. Alaska is a cool company.
Yeah. The best older wines that, I've tasted a lot of older wines. I mean, I've had Madeira from 200-year-old Madeira. I've had things like that. But when I worked for the Getty family, Gordon Getty right here, he's right up there on the hill, Gordon and Anne, the old Haut-Brion Blancs from the 50s and 60s. Yeah. Unbelievable stuff. I know you like Bordeaux. That's when we first met, and you went, and we had some very good Bordeaux at the bar at the Pigeon. It was good.
And it was really funny because they're like maybe assistant sommelier, or maybe just one of their bartenders goes, "Oh, we don't like Bordeaux."
I know, he was kind of crabby towards us.
Well, we drank it anyway, and it was, of course, great. And he did have good. He had good vintages of everything, and he the somm, the guy who he had accrued this amassed an amazing wine cellar by the time COVID hit, and then he was so sad he had to sell it to help the restaurant survive, and he had to sell it at half price. So me and my buddies that are my closer friends, like half a dozen of us that get together and cook for each other and pull out sick bottles and get hammied. We all went and we hired them to cook dinner parties for us at my giant room studio, the big room at my studio, I should say, with Roman columns and all that stuff. But what I did is I set about going over there and buying the wines that I wanted, that I would always keep my eye on, make sure I still had them. But I bought them at full price instead of half price, and I just thought, man, you know, this is gonna work. We're gonna do it, and it did. There were enough people taking food to go out of Le Pigeon and buying the wines that they survived COVID, and that's
great.
That's one of the best restaurants we've ever had.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a great place, and Portland's fun, you guys. It's a really great place. That's where I got to meet Courtney, and you know, there's a lot of great bands that have come out of Portland, and you guys are one of the greats. You know, the Dandy Warhols, and I mean, if you guys haven't listened to these albums, you need to get into this. I mean, amazing psychedelic rock, punk, everything, fusion. Great lyrics. I mean, come on. It's got to have great lyrics, and that's what you are a great songwriter. The team is a great team, and there's a reason that they're around for 30 years. You guys, you know, this is the 30-year anniversary of you guys.
And we were very lucky in our timing. We got to be all of our heroes from the 80s came back around when we started becoming successful. So we would you know, play Glastonbury, and David Bowie would, you know, found us and watched us side stage. You know, my favorite band, and then we ended up playing, between him and the Rolling Stones, we probably played 50 shows with the two of them.
Wow.
And you know, Joe Strummer, I got to hang out with him at Strummerville, and he came and found me, and you're the coolest band. Oh no, he said, Courtney, mate, I was the singer in the coolest band in the world. No, you are. How the fuck does that feel, mate? And I have no idea. I was so taken aback by, like, Joe. Wow. You know, and I don't even remember what I said. I hope I was clever, though.
Yeah, I bet you were. You are clever. I mean, that's just the good thing.
I'm not quick, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I'm sure you appreciated what you said back. I mean, that's a big compliment.
Well, he said, he said, what are you doing for the rest of the day and tonight? And I go, I don't know. I guess hanging out with you. And he goes, right answer. Right. Stick out your tongue.
Yeah. Oh God. What did he put on it? Something weird. Okay. The day changed for Courtney. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Yeah, he had an interesting world. We also met Mick Jones after Joe passed.
I've met Mick before. Mick Jones from the Clash.
And his wife took the band out to dinner. Yeah. And you know, talked a lot about Joe and the band and why it fell apart. And all that stuff. It was pretty easy after meeting both of them to understand how they didn't get along. Yeah. Joe was very rough-hewn and masculine, and Mick is a very cosmopolitan.
Yeah, and he's very lanky too. He's kind of tall and lanky, and Joe's just like, I don't know if I want to.
He's chic and he's cosmopolitan. Yeah. And he married Tracy Emmons. Yeah. You know, who puts condoms on a dirty mattress, and it goes into the Tate Modern Museum. And, you know, so it's very urban chic and very, you know, it's very cool and glammy, and it's a lot more like my band than Joe was. You know, he has a lot of dudes. He had a lot of dudes around him with like shaved heads, full leather, pit bulls on chains, and that kind of thing. You know, he was a very military kid. He was a military kid, and so he had that testosterone-driven sort of scene around him. Yeah.
What do you think about this wine, by the way?
They're just cold, and I'm having a hard time.
It came out of my cellar. I mean, I'm not gonna warm them in the car for you.
Well, you should take them out and stand them up 2 days early in your dining room, where they can become 71 degrees without being damaged. No. Yes.
Not going to do it.
Yes.
Why is that? Because you're isolating flavors, and as it opens up, as we're watching your show, it's going to be 50 times better. You're going to find out later, because I'm leaving you with these.
Okay, but we can't talk about them then. We'd have to go do this again. In my wine podcast, we started doing that because we got so drunk at the podcast we became stupid and boring. So what we do is when we find ourselves talking over each other and being not very pithy, we stop and then we get back the next morning at 11 or so before we start the day. And sometimes we just put the same clothes back on and try to make it seamless. But we can tell that our language and our speech is a lot clearer, and we can finish ideas. At the end of the show. How do they get so much smarter? Wine makes them smart.
What is your show, and how do people find
Wine Acoustics.
Wine Acoustics, right there.
It's on the podcast networks, and it's on YouTube, and it's you can do audio only, or you can look at our mugs while we talk to each other. And it's my buddy in Wisconsin. So what we do is we find large production, well distributed wine that we can both find. So sometimes we just FaceTime and go down to our respective Whole Foods, see what they have. Okay, do you have the 2018 of this, CDP? Yes. Okay, I have it. And we try to keep it within $22 to $35.
Okay, that's good. And that's a good thing. Set the
BV is the first one. We did the Rutherford Shelf Cab Sauv, and what a surprise! It is so fun. We had a great time. We did a 2012, I think, Cubio. Crianza. Or maybe it was 16. I can't. Yeah, it must have been 16 because it's a good 8 years.
Crianzas are very good.
And they're great just after. I think they're supposed to be 5-year wines. I like 8.
Yeah,
8
me too.
10.
Me too.
I think they really do.
Next time you're coming to my cellar, then we're gonna rate it, and it's all vinyl down there. So
we gotta
get weird.
We gotta hit my cellar too.
Don't believe me. Yeah, you gotta like that when the Dandy Warhols and Chris Sawyer are friends, and we talk a lot of wine here. He's gonna play an amazing show tonight. It's the 30-year anniversary of the Dandy Warhols. Courtney Taylor-Taylor and I we made our bond through wine, and that's how great wine is. I mean, you're sitting there talking about your time with Bowie and Jagger and Strummer.
And I got to drink. Keith was only drinking orange soda pop with vodka in it, and he would just carry around or his buddy, one of his guys, would carry around
his follower,
his mind,
his handler,
the babysitter, more like it. But would carry around a 2-liter bottle of half body and half orange soda pop. So he had all this 10-year-old Rioja, and his great grandmother's recipe of shepherd's pie. So I pretty much ate that every day because shepherd's pie is my favorite thing, and I love a dirty old slutty Rioja, 10-year-old, the crazy flavors exploding in the weird earth and the whole it's so fun.
I think you'll get a little bit of this. There's a little bit of American oak in here too, and that's kind of what Riojas are. American oak. It's like crazy, but it is true, and it's one of the reasons they develop quite well. Sometimes you get American ones, but the barrels themselves have gotten so much better. I mean, they're
American oak.
American oak. I mean, it's kind of because of Ridge actually. That Ridge really went into it.
That, don't you
I know.
Ridge?
So you and you're gonna fly down to Santa Rosa,
and
we're going tasting, and I'm taking you to Ridge, and we're gonna hang out with the winemaker.
Okay.
Shauna Rosenblum, you know me, and we'll taste some good stuff with them, and we'll have some fun. And you guys can have fun anytime, especially when you listen to the Dandy Warhols and you drink great wines. So, Courtney, I want to thank you for just being you, and to have
I want
this
to thank
band.
you for being you and having such a devoted to wine life and the great things that brings.
Yeah, it's great, and sharing good wines with you. This is what friendships are about, you guys. I mean, when you get to hang out with someone that's so cool like this, I mean, these albums that they have are so great, and people are going to be rocking out tonight here at Bimbos in San Francisco, the 365 Club, right here in Columbus, and I love this place. We are in the cellar. I've only been in here once before, and it was with my great friend Shelley Lindgren, who's A16 restaurant. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and we came in here, but I didn't get to taste it. But that's why we popped open a bottle. Where to go? Right here, just a bottle of old Gamay. And if you guys know your Pinot Noir, then you know that Gamay is the child of Pinot Noir, as is Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Meunier, all the child of Pinot Noir. That's why it's one of the greatest. And when you talk about bands that are the greatest, that's why I hang out with the Dandy Warhols and Courtney Taylor-Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like the Pinot Noir. We have us and the Jonestown Massacre spawned a lot of bands that are great that came out of, after us and went to all our shows and then put bands together and made their own sounds. Like Black Rebel and Black Angels.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a lot of black in
their
names. Black Rider.
Yeah.
We're the Pinot Noir. I've never really been a big Pinot Noir guy. Have you ever heard of Saint Désert?
Yes. Yeah.
I have never met anyone that knows that. It's next to Givry.
Yeah.
And that is my favorite. I mean, I love Baume.
Yeah.
Because it's the dirtiest, the earthiest. I mean, you can tell if it's 400 yards down the road, really, almost. But that Saint Désert, Saint Desert.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's darker than.
It's intense. It's a little bit more. It's deeper and it's not tannic, but it's just dense. That's what I get out of it. It
behaves like a different. Much
like if you hit a deer on the road, call me. I need some of that sausage made out of that deer. Like that kind of thing.
We took one.
Please don't call me.
We took one that was a road you didn't want to go down. The visuals alone are turning me off of deer. We took a bottle of it. I had the best hamburger of my life there at the cafe in Givry. It's the only thing open in all of Burgundy as far as we could tell. But the wine was so great with the hamburger and the hand chopped beef and those white cows.
Boof.
Yeah, the white cows of Burgundy, which is one side of Burgundy, the other side is wine. Yeah. The food side is where we go to my monitor engineer's birthday party. That's where she lives, and she's always been a Burgundy kid. But I took a bottle. Funny you should say that, venison, because I bought another bottle because we were on our way to the Schwarzwald, and we were staying at a nice hotel, kind of on the lake, and had a great restaurant. And we make sure of that. Yeah. So I took it there. Now they had 96 Sociando Mallet on the wine card, and so I bought the entire case that they had left, maybe 9 bottles. I just bought it the first night. And this is a smart thing to do if you're going to be staying in a place for 6 nights, and they have one wine that blows your mind, and it's a 96 Sociando. This is the year before last, and it was maybe 70 a bottle. Yeah, 70 euros a bottle. That's a deal. That was an amazing deal. So they didn't know what they had, so I bought all of it to make sure we had a great wine with dinner every night. But I pulled out that Pinot, which was a 2020, and we were there in 22. Yeah. So this is not only the youngest wine I've ever enjoyed, but the Pinot I loved the best. Yeah. And man, it held up it did not disappoint at all. Next to a Sociando, eating, I don't know, duck, rabbit, venison, whatever, we were eating high-end German classics.
I love it. That's why we can talk very well, and why you watch this show, and why we have fun together when we talk about wine. Music and wine, they go really well together. And the Dandy Warhols in the house.
This wine is great. It's
really great, isn't it?
What was this again?
This is a Jordan. I brought a bottle of the 2009 Cab. This is my friend Rob who made this. Still back there, and he's actually
not a Central Coast fruit bomb.
No.
This
is a Cab, and it's a very good. But this is, it's got 15 years on it now, and so. Right. But it's tasting beautiful.
All of my California wines in my cellar are at least 15 years old.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of mine are too.
I've rarely found California wines to be very, in that explosively fantastic range until then. Yeah. Because they're pretty muscular. You got a pretty intense planet surface down here.
Well, there's a lot of things that were happening back there. Some really high reviews for stuff that's not really drinkable, to be really honest. And if you eat, like I said, if you eat venison, that's great. But like what you could pair that with at the time was not going to work. And it's now we're starting to see a lot of better things. I say you just come down and we go tasting, and then I'll show him everything that's happened that's new.
Cool.
And I'll do the same when I come up to visit you. But in the meantime, thank you once again for joining in with us here at the Varietal Show. Thank you, Jordan and Radio-Coteau.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got this amazing Gamay here. And we had to open the Louis Jadot from 1967, which is Courtney Taylor-Taylor's birthday. He was born in 67. I'm just a couple years younger than him.
Summer of Love.
Yeah, Summer of Love for him. And that's why
In
he's
this
in
city.
San Francisco. Exactly.
Yeah.
And thanks once again for joining in. And follow their website, dandywarhols.com.
And Wine Acoustics.
And Wine Acoustics, because you got to listen to this guy.
And
He's
check
real.
out, if you're in Portland, check out the Old Portland Wine Bar. That's my wine bar, and we only serve
awesome.
French wine, and it's kind of the best of each region. You know, rosé likes to come from Provence, whites from Burgundy, red from Bordeaux, Loire, Burgundy for bubbles. You know,
we could talk forever, but thanks
We
once again.
will.
I know.
We're going
and
to.
we're
Doing it
going
already.
like pretty much the rest of our lives, but listen to their music. The Dandy Warhols in the house, San Francisco, California. Courtney Taylor-Taylor right next to me. Thanks for joining us. Cheers, you guys. Cheers.